Hi, I'm Lisa Singer, the event editorial manager at Media Post, and this is our new series, Insider Summit BTS, where we kind of pull back the curtain on some of the most influential marketers, women marketers that we know. It's just really something where we get to talk with such interesting women about their, strategies and everything. But this, we want to people like Hannah Sun. We want to hear more about how they got started and more about them. And this is what it's all about. So I have Hannah Sun, and she is the director of user acquisition at JibJab. So Hannah, thank you for being a part of this and doing this for us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Awesome. Well, I'm very happy to do it. Now, to be honest, I have a confession. The real reason I asked you for this is I want to meet Bruiser. Do we have Bruiser in the room? Can we bring him on for a cameo?
You know what? He's actually in my fiance's office. He
Oh
is
no.
great, but he loves to perch right here and
Oh,
bark at everything that walks by. And so I thought maybe at the end we can grab him and show him off a little.
okay, let's do that. All right, because just to know who Bruiser is Hannah's Maltipoo, and I used to have a Maltipoo Monty, and so when she told me it was just like kindred spirits right away, so I definitely want to meet him, and I love that a Maltipoo is named Bruiser, so I just have to see this guy. He must have an amazing personality. So all right, now we'll get to the serious stuff. So but in terms of, as director of user acquisition, obviously you need to be very data driven and have exceptional analytical skills. But I noticed when you graduated with a BA in communications, now that definitely segues to a marketing career. But where did the analytical side come in? I mean, were you always sort of this left brain person, and that was the end goal, or did it sort of evolve as you started working?
It definitely evolved. I don't think I would have thought of myself as very analytical growing up. People tell me I'm very practical and I really weigh decisions very practically. But I never really thought about it. One of my first jobs, I was a client manager at a rep management company. Um, that led to a, account executive position in another agency. And when I was working there, the account executives, it was a small agency. We also had to PM our teams. And I would sit with our teams a lot and ask them, what's going on? How do I explain this to the client? And I would learn things like, hey, yeah, CPM's up here, but that doesn't mean CPM's always a problem, right? It depends on all the other metrics that go into it. And I just found that really fascinating. And I dug really deep into that. So I was definitely the other account executives, I'd say there's a salesy vibe to them. I really just wanted to understand what was happening and explain to the client, why it was happening and like what the strategy would be to turn that around. So getting more strategic there, that's what led me to, eventually doing paid media and shopping at FTD, where they're very analytical, very data driven. Um, and you have to know your numbers there. So
Yeah, you do.
it was always a fun environment, very intense, but they'd ask you what's going on in the industry, and I was able to break it all down and realized I just really love data. I really love analytics.
Well, because I mean, we just actually finished up a program, data and programmatic summit, these past couple of days, and it is. I mean, I'm definitely right brain. So my dad's an accountant, but none of the kids got that gene of like numbers and anything. And so, and it really to hear you guys talk and dive so deeply into just figure out these strategies. It's pretty amazing. Now, so did you have to sort of go, because obviously, as you said, you sort of found out as you took a different position, and it led you to discovering that you really loved going into that side of thing and discovering data. But how did that sort of evolve and through your career in terms of to get you to where you are now?
Sure. I mean, what you realize about marketers is marketing wasn't always data driven, right? A lot of the old channels that have been around for a long time, like TV, right? Uh, Mailers, direct mailers, right? you see how they've evolved over time too. Like they're trying to be data driven now, right? Because that's the name of the game these days. I realized early on in my career that the industry was changing. It had already shifted towards, search engine results and, monetizing, anything on the internet that you could find, which leads to, being able to pixel people and understand what they're doing. Um, Very quickly, I was like, hey, this data thing is going to be integral to my career, and to being able to drive strategy, which is, ultimately, I think what all marketers want to do, right? We see a small piece of the pie, we want to be involved in the whole pie, right? In the making of it. And what happened was I was at FTD. I really loved it. I learned a lot there about search engine results. Shopping was a new kind of phenomenon at the time. Google Shopping, so like learning how to build out feeds, and how to monetize those feeds, right? That was very important. But I had always, in my life in general, I'm a jack of all trades. I like doing a little bit of everything. I like to really understand one thing and then apply that knowledge to everything, right? So I played piano growing up, and then I started playing like guitar and ukulele and other things because it's transferable, right?
Mhm.
And I kind of approached marketing the same way. I said, well, look, data is important. Um, Even things like SEO that had been an art, you know, um, you know, had been a science and became an art, it's still data driven. Um, so I started to realize like attribution and understanding how all the channels work together and what's actually driving the sale was also important to me because I was like, a lot of companies are losing revenue because they're not deduping their efforts, right? So you're buying the same user in SEO as you are in SEM, as you are in TV, right? And you think your CPA is $20, but it's probably $100, right? And so kind of looking at that, I really wanted to move upwards in terms of understanding how all the channels work together. I really got the opportunity at JibJab. I came in with some good knowledge of how SERPs worked, of how feeds worked, of how organic social worked. Um, but I really got the opportunity to start bringing in TV, right? Radio, podcast, and then seeing the data at a high level and saying, okay, Facebook seems to be really taking a lot of credit for purchases, right? They want this view credit, and we don't, Google doesn't take view credit, right? So is Google actually driving more than Facebook is? Um, I don't know. It just kind of
That's
evolved in that
fascinating.
direction.
No, it's you have this curious mind, and obviously then you sort of build these layers, which is great. That's incredible. I mean, I think, and that describes an analytical mind. You know what I mean? In the sense, it doesn't. You can be analytical and still creative. So you're working your whole brain. Let's put it that way. So
Yeah, there's always like layers, and they're always so interesting, and everything is, it's a problem. Everything's interesting to me, and so really being able to edit myself and decide what to work on is always the biggest challenge. But yeah, even at JibJab, they were always a data-driven company, but I got to come in and build a data team right from the ground up too. So it's been an amazing, piece of my career and a great opportunity in pretty much every aspect of marketing and data science that I'm interested in.
that's great. And I through your career, I mean, anyone who talks to me, especially in this past year, I love to find silver linings. And I mean, I kind of always have been that way, but especially with COVID, and I try to find that one thing with marketers. I want to ask you your silver line, but not from this past year, not from the crisis, but just has there been something in the course of your career or life that maybe was really disappointing or a setback, and it ultimately sort of brought you to a better place? It was that silver lining. Is there one specific time that you could talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I think early in my career, I was part of a layoff um, at a company that ended up, they were actually looking for acquisition. As part of that, they laid off certain parts of the team. Um, I remember during the period I was laid off, I read a lot of like Seth Godin books, right? One of them being Linchpin, which the whole idea of that book is like make yourself indispensable anywhere you work, right? And I've always wanted to bring value to anything I'm doing. And I also feel like if I'm not bringing value, like let me go, right? Like we can each do kind of separate things and find different ways to work and be successful. But I think what I learned there was really, it's important to think of your career as a learning opportunity and how to apply that learning opportunity to anywhere you go, right? And what I've learned in general is that if you have a curious mind and you are looking for new challenges, um, you're always going to set yourself up for success, right? Because you're doing that much more than the person next to you, right? And even if you're not necessarily someone who has a curious mind, um, understanding that when you are working somewhere, that job is not a given, right? It's really someone bringing you in because you can help them, right? And in the same way, you go to a company and you're looking for that company to help you, right? JibJab's given me opportunities. FTD gave me opportunities, right? And I gave them back everything I could in terms of, driving revenue, right? And being successful in those roles. I found really if you put in the work and you have the curiosity and you really nurture and harvest that creativity, um, you're gonna see your career evolving in ways that you didn't expect because opportunities will continue to open up for you.
Right. Even so, even when you have those setbacks, as you said, as long as you're open to what's next, keep
Yeah,
forward as opposed to dwelling on what just happened.
yeah, and even just learning, like we at JibJab we just did a podcast test, and I think it was one of those moments where our agents came to us and they were definitely really worried about the conversation, right? I could tell they were like, hey, it didn't do well, but it didn't do as bad. And I was like, hey, let's like, it is what it is. We scoped it out as much as we could. We put all the effort we could into, understand the parameters of the test already, right? A test is a test. We've gone in, we knew there was risk. Now, what can we chop up and find there as an opportunity to learn, right? And when we looked at it that way, I mean, for the partner, I think it was a relief, but even for us, we were like, this was not actually unsuccessful. The way it was run might have been unsuccessful, but we've learned exactly where to hone in on our next test, right? And I think that's, how every failure should be thought of, right? There's always a learning opportunity. There's always a way to grow from it. And, that failure might actually be the thing that catapults you into success.
Yep. And it's actually, they were just talking about that with, Jeff Bezos taking the rocket to to outer space. And he was basically saying that exact thing, which of course is not a new, we hear that a lot, especially from successful people, but it really is. It's about learning what doesn't work and then making it better. So, and JibJab, I have to say, I love JibJab. Okay, and so anyone, if you don't know JibJab, it's basically creating an e-card with video and dancing, and it's just you send it to say happy birthday or happy anniversary or I'm sorry or whatever. You guys pretty much cover it all, and I love it because it's just fun and like those big heads where you put your head or your friend's head and just the music, and I just it's really catchy. And so I definitely, like I said, I love sending them, and especially to like my nephew. He finds it fun, and just put every family face and all that kind of thing. But what it made me think of when I knew I was going to be talking to you, um, are jingles. And I don't know, maybe just because they're all, there's catchy music. So even though we don't have jingles today anymore, obviously, I decided to dive a little deeper and find some jingles that, if you're up for it, I want to sing the first part, and then you need to finish the jingle and then say the brand. So does that work?
Got it. That sounds super fun. Yeah.
Okay, but I have a little twist.
Okay.
I was very impressed to find out that you speak three languages: English and Spanish. So my twist is, if possible, can you finish it not in English?
Okay.
if it doesn't come out for whatever the translation is, do it in English. That's fine. But if possible, let's do it in Spanish or Korean. How's that sound?
Sounds like a party.
Well, I
Do
can
it.
just give you a softball here. We got to like up the game. All right. So the first one is like a okay. And singer is just my last name. I can't hold the tune. Okay. Like a good neighbor.
State Farm, Gaita.
Is here.
Yeah, trying to like figure out how to take the word and translate it into
Oh,
the song too.
you knew it. You just were trying to like. Okay. All right. So we got it. State Farm, obviously. All right. Next one. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz.
Ooh, I don't actually know this jingle. Like I know it. Is this a Rolaids jingle?
Alka-Seltzer. So right,
Alka-Seltzer. Okay, yeah, yeah.
right. But and it's like, oh, what a relief it is.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Okay. So all right. The next one. The best part of waking up.
Is Folgers into Copa? Copa?
Folgers translates in any language. Okay. Give me a break. Give me a break.
I did this one in English, just to break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
Got it. And then this one is, all right. I always forget the tune because it's just a tune. And we play cranium a lot and I'm horrible at humming. Okay, okay. Ba da ba ba ba.
I know this. It's progressive?
No, it's actually McDonald's. I'm loving it. Justin Timberlake.
Oh yeah, okay, okay, okay.
I'm
I'm
sure
loving it.
my humming wasn't probably up to
No.
or whatever. Well, that was awesome. Thank you. I love that. No, but this what we just created is what JibJab creates. Like it's just, don't you think? Like it's just like that fun. You get it, and you just want to just I don't know.
Yeah,
And
I love like games like that. The twist really threw me off. That was probably the most enjoyable 5 minutes of my week so far. So,
well, I am
thank you.
glad. I had, like I said, you're this smart woman. I need to up the game to like, it's easy just to do the rest of the song. So had to
You
make
stumped me. You stumped me a few times. Yeah.
good to know. Well, I mean, and just talking about campaigns, I'm sure without a jingle, probably, but is there a campaign that kind of stands out to you that you were just like, wow, that's amazing for whatever reason, whether it's simplicity or whatever, that's just something that you took note of and really were impressed with?
Um, I think what really impresses me is people who can do emotional content without overdoing it. So a good example is actually maybe not the best example, but I think Facebook has done a decent job with some of the portal ads, right? But there was one recently that was a tearjerker. It was about a man who his he is he's deaf, I believe, and he um, has never been able to talk on the phone with his son. But because of the portal, he's able to like sign and talk to him and see the sign back. And I thought it was a really well done commercial. It really like tugged at my heartstrings, and I was like, okay, like there's a lot of value to this product. So yeah, I'd say that's probably like I think doing emotional content well, um, and not being too over the top or cheesy is hard. And I think some brands are doing it very well. And as a brand that, during COVID we did well as a business because our product is digital, and that was, especially at the beginning, nobody knew like, can you send a card? Are you going to send COVID through a card, right? And so our business took off, but the best part about working at JibJab has always been, our motto is to make billions of people happy. And it really felt like that during COVID, right? And so as a brand that like really, you know, we're all about being funny. We're all about like touching, your grandma's heart, right? Or like letting them know you cared. I feel like people who've been able to do emotional content well and really help you understand the value of their product, and why it's so important. Um, I really admire that, and I think that's very hard to do.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think it is something that people, brands are striving for even more so now because people are wanting that connection, even, with everything
Yeah,
that's been on this past year. So,
yeah, definitely.
I
And
really,
actually, I have one more standout that I definitely want to mention is T-Mobile. I don't know if you've seen their commercials lately, but they're hilarious. So it's, these commercials of people talking, and
oh,
it
I
shows
know.
them say
Yes.
something, right? And then breaks it up. And
Yes.
then the person on the other end ends up doing something
Uh-huh.
crazy as a result. They do such a good job with not just the commercials, but dropping that down into all of their different channels. They
Hmm.
do such a good job of showing value, but also making you laugh. And I'm not even a T-Mobile customer, but I'm like, maybe I should get T-Mobile. They're so funny,
Yeah,
they're
no, I
so good.
agree. I love that. I mean, I've seen a few of them, but the one with Adam Levine and Blake Shelton and oh my God, my head. Why am I his new wife?
Yeah, Gwen Stefani.
Gwen Stefani, thank you. I'm blanking. But like to me, that was a riot. Like, and just, I mean, there were
Yeah,
other ones the same way, but it's so true. Like, it's just like, or, it's just, I think what is key about that, and I think it's something that there was another, um, you know, are can you hear me or would it hear me now? Can you hear me now? Like, because there's things that we all go through. I think when
yeah.
people can really relate, that we know that's happened, that the call has been dropped or we've misheard someone. I think that makes a commercial much more powerful. I mean, or more, relative to us. Something that we can relate to.
Yeah. And it works. Look at T-Mobile. They're always, they're so smart. I love T-Mobile. I think they're such a great company.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, and I mean, and just in talking this past year, I mean, obviously, JibJab did well, and a big part of it was because, as you said, people were looking to be happy, and we also saw a lot of people really wanting to step up, looking for opportunities to, improve diversity and inclusion, and supporting Asian communities and the LGBTQ equality, Black Lives Matter. It was really a time when people wanted to do something. And I'm just curious in terms of what you think is the role of a marketer. I mean, do you think it's a responsibility for marketers with the platform that you guys have to sort of create that positive change, to help create that positive change?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what I loved about going to UCSD for communication is it's actually not a very marketing focused program. It's very theoretical, right? Um, Based on a lot of studies, right? And you really dig into like the social psychology of how marketing works. And I remember very clearly, like some of the things we learned were how many images you see before you turn like 4, right? And the number was astounding. And as much as people like to think that they're kind of, you know, rolling down their own road and making their own decisions, really like marketing is everywhere, right? You can't escape it. Even people buy shirts that say Billabong on them, right? Like they're essentially buying into um, a marketing program, right? And I think that as marketers, understanding the power that you have in marketing is very important. Um, you know, every marketer kind of goes into marketing for their own reasons. For me, it's always been important that I work for a brand that I like, right, and that I'm proud of. And I think as an Asian woman growing up, I remember watching TV, and you never saw just an Asian child or an Asian family on TV. You never saw Asian people in magazines, right? And now I look around and I see, I'm watching TV and there's, commercial after commercial. It's, an African American family, right? It's an Asian American family, right? An Indian American family. You see all sorts of diversity, and uh, you see LGBTQ couples, right? Families, and it's normalizing all those concepts that uh, I think are very important. And JibJab has always done a good job of hiring, very diverse, a very diverse crew. And we have people from every corner of the world, every sexual orientation, represented. And I think for us, it's important to say like, hey, like everyone has family, everyone has friends, right? You love someone, and you know hopefully we are giving you something that uh giving you a tool to help you say I love you to anyone that you want, right? And I think that's very important. Understanding, even you see the impressions that come through your campaigns, it's not a small amount of impressions, not a small amount of eyebrows or eyeballs, sorry, that are seeing your content. And it's very important to make sure that everybody feels included and understands that they're all part of America, part of the world, right? So, um,
But
in short, yes, I think it's
yeah,
very
but
important.
I would want to ask you, just in terms of Hannah as a child, what how would that have made you feel if you had this, what's happening now back then?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, you know, I like just like now, I was really interested in everything, right? So, I remember when I was really little, when I was like 5, my dad would always have basketball. We'd like play basketball with each other, and I'd say, I'm gonna be the first woman, like Asian woman in the NBA, right? Or in the WNBA. And it's, you know, there were no Asian people represented in that sport, right? Really, back then. And I remember you were always thinking, I'm going to be the first woman, or I'm going to be the first Asian, right, to do this. I loved playing music as a kid, but I was like, I don't think I could pursue music because Korean people don't do music, right? Like that's not a thing in America that you see Korean people in bands. So to me, it was like you have maybe 10 careers that you're allowed to do because that's what other Asian women have done. And now it's great to see. Like I think of my cousins, I think of my nephews, who are much younger, and I think about all the opportunities they have and the fact that they don't even have to think of that roadblock. It's
Mhm.
just I can do anything that I want to do, and other people do it all the time, and
Yeah,
I'm not going to be the only person in that industry doing it, right?
yeah. No, that I think that's definitely it's each generation hopefully gets more where it's not even an issue anymore. So,
Yeah.
and it's just commonplace. So, now there's no segue from that. So, just basically, what I want to ask is, what's your guilty pleasure?
Oh man, I have so many. um, I really like watching trashy TV.
What TV?
So just
Trash
really
TV?
trashy
So
TV.
what's trashy TV? What would be some of the?
I don't want to offend anyone, but Too Hot to Handle. I started watching that recently. I just got into the new Gossip Girl.
Uh-huh.
Um, a lot of shows that my fiance comes in, he's like, "What are you watching?" And I'm like, "I can't stop watching this. It's so bad, but it's so good."
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, 90 Day Fiance. It's one of the best programs on
Oh my
TV.
gosh, really? I've seen like I've never been a reality fan, and it's funny when like even just working in entertainment when I used to do news, and reality shows, of course, are such a huge. And I was just always like, please don't make me cover this, and then I'd be on a red carpet, and I'd be like, I have no idea who any of those people are. But, like you need to send people up ahead to tell me who they are because they're all reality show people, and that was one thing I couldn't wrap my head around. But my brother is very similar to you. He like just watches them all. And it's just that mindless, like you said, trashy or whatever you want to call it, TV, where you just kind of like look at all these train wrecks.
And like I think the other thing that I appreciated though about it is we all know that reality is not reality TV, right? Like and reality TV, that's definitely a reality in quotes.
Hmm.
But I think reality TV has done a lot for the world in terms of like normalizing a lot of things that seemed weird
Hmm.
for a long time. Um, and as trashy as it is, and as problematic as some of the reality TV shows can be, I think there's also a level of like, hey, like this is not that weird, right? If you're having this issue, it's not that weird. Like other people have this issue too, which is, kind of evolved into organic social and Instagram and things. But I think there's some good that's coming out of it.
Okay, yep, there's value there for what's that one? The eating one,
Eating
where
one.
people are eating bugs and stuff. What's the, I don't know.
Oh, the old one, like the Fear Factor one?
Oh, Fear Factor. I
The
remember
Joe Rogan.
that, and I was just like, because I was working at a show, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is like, I would never out of any reality show that would be I would be so booted or whatever. But now it's all about relationship reality shows, it seems. So that was more challenges. But well, finally, I just have one more question, just in terms of, is there something in your daily life that you do, sort of a ritual, or it's just what you do to maybe make you feel better at your job, better in general as a person, like just that you need.
Yeah, I'd say the one thing that's all encompassing that I do that's very important and I've realized is the most important for my mental health is just working out every day. Um, During COVID, it was kind of hard. We did get a Peloton and we were really into it for a while. Fell out of it for a bit, and I definitely saw my work suffer because of it. I tend to be more energetic after I work out. My mind is clearer. I tend to be more positive, right? Like I approach things, I think, with a better energy. Um, and I can see it also in my management style, right? Like, while I would love to say that I don't change day to day, my mood is definitely affected by my energy levels
Mhm.
and exercise. And that definitely helps me, I think, be a better manager um, and be a better, client to some of our partners, right? I think it's been very important for me. My fiance's been obsessed with going to F45 every morning at
Oh,
8.
really? Wow. I tried that.
Yes,
A little uh tough for me to be honest to keep up. But it's such a great workout.
it's such a good workout. I'm definitely like the slowest person there. I'm the least fit, but I go with him, and then I come back to go on a quick walk with Bruiser. And I think it just sets up the day for success, and
Yeah.
it's great to get it done with. So yeah.
Yes, I completely agree. And it's like when you don't want to, if you just start moving and then you just feel so much better. Like it's just, I totally agree with that. So, all
Yeah.
right, I'm not going to let you go yet until we do bring in Bruiser. And so, do we have him?
Yeah, let me
All
grab
right,
him real.
go grab him. And I'll just sit here and stare at everyone. Well, I'll actually let you guys know. But we do this every week. It's every Thursday for the summer. And if there is someone that another marketing woman marketer that you would love us to sort of find out more about, pull the curtains back, please let me know, and I will see what I can do. I'll do my best. Oh my God. Oh my God, he's such a bruiser. That's a scary dog.
Yeah, he's a terror. He sleeps all day and licks his
Oh,
fur.
kind of
That's
looks like my Monty. Oh,
does
he's
he?
sweetie. Yes. Oh, he is so cute. How old is he?
He's just turning a year in next week, I think. Yeah. The
Oh,
29th. He's a year
sweet.
old, so
Oh, you woke him up. You disturbed him. He keeps yawning. But I'm glad you did. He totally made my day. He's so precious. Oh, me too. So,
he's a good
and
boy. If you're ever in Southern California and
I
you
am. I'm in Newport Beach. Where are you?
oh, I'm in San Diego now.
Oh, okay. So maybe we'll have a midpoint where we can meet, grab coffee, and I can play with Bruiser.
Yeah, he would
Yeah.
love that. He loves women, so that'll
Oh,
be good.
oh my God, he's such a love. Oh, he's so adorable. I would just take him though. You would have to like, you would not see Bruiser again. So
I mean,
basically,
he would probably go with you, so it would really be just, be like, all right, I guess we don't have a dog anymore, but
oh,
he's the
awesome.
best.
So, and how sad is it we want to meet Bruiser and not the fiance?
He's fine. He's cool. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much, Hannah. I really appreciate this. And as I said, we'll be here every Thursday. Just let me know if there's someone you want me to try to get, and I will do my best. But Hannah, thank you so much. And Bruiser, thank you so much for making the cameo. Yes.
Thanks so much. I really enjoyed the conversation, and it's
I
always
did
nice
too.
to talk to you. So appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. And oh my gosh, I can't go. Bye, Bruiser.